Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Corey, better known as the C-Man, and I want to welcome you to another edition of the C-Man's Cinema Sit-Down. As you can see, I'm beaming, man, because it's that time of year. It's award season. It's finally here, man, where we get to honor and recognize all the great accomplishment and achievements in film from the year 2019, which was just a fantastic year for film, if you're asking the old C-Man. So many good movies. There's just so many choices and ways you can go with all the great film that we've had in the last year. And you know, like I said, we're smack dab in the middle of awards season now. So you got the Globes have happened 2 weeks ago. The Critics' Choice Awards were last night. We got the SAGs coming. But of course, we got the big dog on the way. The 92nd Academy Awards will wrap up the award season with the biggest night in Hollywood, and now we finally know who will be pulling for in all those categories, man. What am I talking about? You know, pull up a chair, take a seat. We're getting ready to dive into the Oscars nominations, dude. We're gonna just cover it briefly. Try not to be too over analytical of the nominees. I did my predictions last night. Those are up on Twitter. If you follow me over at cinema_sitdown, you can see my predictions there. When this video is done, I'll actually post up the actual outcomes compared to my predictions. But I do want to, we got to talk a little bit about it, man, especially in the big categories. Because, we had some big things happen. Now, as I mentioned, this is a big year for movies. There's so many options and choices of really great film. I really thought we would finally see the Academy use all 10 slots that they kicked in. But I really thought they would use all 10 this year, but they only used 9. That's one up from last year. Last year we got 8. This year we get 9. And for me, nailed everything but Little Women. But watched as Rocketman got snubbed. I was kind of surprised. I really thought they would go with 10 awards this season, because Parasite, 1917, Marriage Story, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Joker, The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, Ford v Ferrari. I thought those 8 were all locks. And like I said, you got this kind of overflow of really solid films with stuff like Rocketman, which gets snubbed, Little Women, which does get nominated, and then, just a personal favorite for me, I was pulling for Knives Out. It did not get that slot, but shocked that Rocketman didn't get the 10th spot, because the 10th spot exists and the Oscars just continue to never use them. And, it's one of those sad things, and Taron Egerton, I think, even mentioned it at the Globes. Movie came all the way out back in May, and you kind of lose track of it, especially in a really strong year for film and a really strong awards season run. You get that run at the end of December, early January, where you just have all of the films that are most likely going to get nominated coming out. You kind of tend to forget, and it seems that's what's happening here at the Oscars, which is unfortunate because Rocketman was stupendous, and after a year where you got Bohemian Rhapsody making a strong show at the Oscars, I thought we would see the same for Rocketman. I certainly said that at the time, but nonetheless, no dice for them. Tell you one thing that I did nail, and is a talking point, of course, is the achievement in directing. 5 guys, no women in the directing category nominated. And I understand we want to see, diversity and representation, and you want to see those types of things changing. But at the same time, if you're asking for those things, then what you're really asking for is an impartial vote. And for my money, I predicted all 5 of these gentlemen, because I really don't know how you could argue in even someone like Greta Gerwig, who did a great job with Little Women, but when you have Sam Mendes for 1917, that's going to get nominated. Obviously, Todd Phillips and Martin Scorsese are going to get nominated. Bong Joon-ho, I thought, had to be nominated because I think it's the best picture of the year. We might finally see an international flick win that award. And in a year where you could have Martin Scorsese going up against Quentin Tarantino, you can't not have Quentin Tarantino for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood in there. So to me, I understand, that we would like to have seen a woman director be nominated. It would have been great if Greta could have gotten in there, but I do think the 5 best directors of the year, just from an unbiased filmmaking standpoint, are the 5 that are nominated here. As we move into acting, this is where I started to slip up a little bit. The performance by an actor in a lead role hits us with Joaquin Phoenix, who I would say right now is an absolute lock if you're a betting person. That's the man that's going to win the Oscar, man. I'll say it right now. Here on January 13th, Joaquin Phoenix is going to win an Oscar. Leonardo DiCaprio, unfortunately, will get snubbed again and not get a W here. But very, very well deserved to be nominated. And Adam Driver for Marriage Story as well. What I was shocked to see was that we did not get Taron Egerton in for Rocketman or Christian Bale in for Ford v Ferrari. Instead, we get Antonio Banderas for Pain and Glory, and we get Jonathan Pryce for The Two Popes. Now, I've seen just about every film at this point. I have not seen The Two Popes, so I can't speak to Jonathan Pryce's performance. But considering Christian Bale, one of the most entertaining, fun performances we've seen from him, he was absolute spark plug in Ford v Ferrari. I was kind of shocked there, and like I said, especially after winning the Globe, not seeing Taron Egerton's name up there is kind of shocking, and nothing against Jonathan Pryce, but wow, that one kind of caught me off guard. I really thought those two guys would be slam dunks, two of the best performances of the year easily, but good for Antonio Banderas and good for Jonathan Pryce. One thing that we are learning when it comes to the Oscars, it's a movie about a pope. It's gonna get some love, and the same happens in the performance by an actor in a supporting role, where Anthony Hopkins gets in there, nominated for The Two Popes as well, like his co-star Jonathan Pryce, and Joe Pesci nominated for The Irishman. Those are two people that I did not pick. They were nominated at the Globes. They were nominated at the Critics' Choice Awards. But I was like, let's mix it up a little bit. Two people I really would have liked to have seen nominated in this category are Timothée Chalamet in Little Women. I get Joe Pesci is phenomenal in The Irishman, but when you could, there's so many good films, and you could diversify up the category in and of itself a little bit from a movie standpoint. Seeing two people get Best Supporting Actor nods in a year where you have something like Timothée Chalamet, who was just absolutely spectacular as Laurie in Little Women. And then speaking of diversity, I thought it would have been really cool to get someone from Parasite into one of these acting categories, because this ensemble cast is absolutely phenomenal in what for me is the best picture of the year. I went with Kang Ho Song. That was a long shot. It was a reach. It was like a dark horse reach. Didn't happen. Like I said, you do get Anthony Hopkins and Joe Pesci, as well as Tom Hanks for A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, Al Pacino for The Irishman, and Brad Pitt, who I think is also a slam dunk to win here for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, get his first acting Oscar. He does have one for producing for 12 Years a Slave, so I think there's no doubt there. And speaking of slam dunks, maybe the biggest slam dunk of all of these awards is Renee Zellweger playing Judy Garland in Judy. She is nominated, by no surprise, here in the leading actress category. I think she's a slam dunk to win this one as well, much like Joaquin. I think we're going to see the two of them just clean house at every single award show that we get this year. Along with Ms. Zellweger, we have Scarlett Johansson for Marriage Story. I don't think any surprise there. Charlize Theron for Bombshell. Saoirse Ronan for Little Women. Nailed all those. And then I was, again, going with my heart, and looking to diversify up the group a little bit. I went Awkwafina for The Farewell. That doesn't happen. Kind of surprised that the Golden Globe winner doesn't get a nod here, but the Oscars and the Academy do go with a little bit of a diversification move, and one that I think is well-deserved as well. Cynthia Erivo for Harriet. That's great for her. Personally, I would like to have seen Awkwafina, but I don't think you can really go wrong with anyone in that category either. And then when you get over to supporting actress, a performance by an actress in a supporting role, this also goes pretty much the way we expected. Laura Dern, who's won both at the Critics' Choice and at the Globes for Marriage Story, Margot Robbie and Bombshell, Florence Pugh, awesome for her, so happy, getting the Little Women nod, and Kathy Bates getting the Richard Jewell nod. Those are two that I was like, the supporting actress category could have gone a bunch of different ways, and those are two I was like, I hope those happen, and they did. I was like, good job, Seaman. But the shocker, the absolute shocker of the morning, Scarlett Johansson, double nominee, getting nominated for supporting actress for Jojo Rabbit. and snubbing Jennifer Lopez. I was absolutely shocked. I tweeted about it right away. I think a lot of people were shocked. Not that she was going to win. I think when Hustlers came out, a lot of us thought, myself included, thought she would be a front runner there. Laura Dern has obviously emerged as most likely the lock in this category, but shocked that J-Lo doesn't even get a nomination. We do see Scarlett Johansson get in there, though, and double nom for her. That's awesome. So well deserved. I think ScarJo's had a really, really great year, and both roles are absolutely fantastic, so I can't really be mad there. Then when you're talking animated feature film, there were 2 surprises in this category that kind of caught me off guard personally. We hit Toy Story 4, How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World, and Missing Link. All got nominated. No surprises, I think, there. But no Frozen 2 and no Lion King. Now, I guess I could understand Lion King really isn't an animated feature, but it's also not live action because nothing on that screen is real. And those were 2 films that were nominated across the board in most of the other spots. But instead, we get I Lost My Body and Klaus from Netflix get kind of jammed in there. I have not seen either, so I can't really speak to them. Guess we'll have to maybe take a look at them now. But I was shocked that Frozen 2 got snubbed. Lion King, not maybe totally shocking, but Frozen 2, I thought that was a slam dunk in the animation feature, and apparently it is not. So we'll see what goes down there. I think most likely you're going to see Toy Story 4 edge out Missing Link. And then again, quite proud of myself in the screenplay categories. Nailed these, man. Adapted screenplay, no shock there. We got Joker, Todd Phillips and Scott Silver, Little Women for Greta Gerwig, which totally deserved. And I like that she is there somewhere. Even if you couldn't fit her into the directing category, you do kind of I felt you had to give her the nod for adapted screenplay because she crushed Little Women. Then, of course, Jojo Rabbit, Taika Waititi. The Irishman, Steve Zalian, and The Two Popes, Anthony McCartan. When you went to original screenplay, you had Parasite, Bong Joon-ho, and Han Jin-won. Quentin Tarantino for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Marriage Story, Noah Baumbach. Knives Out, Rian Johnson. And then I, again, picking a little bit with my heart, went with The Farewell by Lulu Wang in my picks. Doesn't happen there. Don't think that this is a total shocker. I went and saw this last night, and this movie is spectacular. 1917, Sam Mendes and Christy Wilson Cairns. Well deserved there for those guys. Like I said, 1917 is fantastic and is totally going to be in a slugfest kind of dogfight for Picture of the Year. So that's totally, worthy, but I would have loved to have seen The Farewell sneak in there a little bit more. Really, really, really good movie. And I thought with the Awkwafina win at the Globes, there'd be a little maybe steam behind that, but not the case here. And the last spot we'll touch on. Achievement in cinematography. We got Roger Deakey for 1917, Lauren Sher for Joker, Jaron Blaschke for The Lighthouse, which I got in my picks. Come on, C-Man. Robert Richardson for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And then I was kind of shocked by this one because the cinematography is so good. In Ford v Ferrari, the way they shoot that film just works so well for a racing flick. I thought Fadon Papa-Michaels would be there, but no, it'll go to Rodrigo Prieto for The Irishman. And those are your big categories, man. All the big categories are out there, and like I said, I think for the most part, these are pretty on par with what we thought we would see. But a couple surprises. Scarlett Johansson clearly being the biggest, getting a supporting actress nom over Jennifer Lopez and giving her the double, which is cool for her. Her first 2 nominations ever at the Oscars. Very excited about that. And then Rocketman. Just seeing Rocketman get snubbed in general, I thought was kind of shocking, especially after a year where, a movie like Bohemian Rhapsody did so well, and Rocketman leaps and bounds better than Bohemian Rhapsody. If those 2 movies came out in the same year and were going like head to head, I think Rocketman would just crush Bohemian Rhapsody start to finish, and was kind of shocked at how little it popped up in there. I mean, not even like costume design or hair and makeup, which like when you see the amount of things Taron Egerton wears in that movie and different outfits that Elton had worn, kind of shocked to not see those go down. But overall, I think most of these nominations are all. I think all the nominations are well deserved. I think that there were a couple surprises, but for the most part, the Oscars nailed the big chunk of this. I think it would have been nice to see them finally use all 10 nominations for Best Picture in a year that was so strong. Then maybe I wouldn't be talking about Rocketman being snubbed because you could have fit that in there somewhere. But overall, I'm excited, man. I can't wait. The Oscars are one of my favorites. Lots of good stuff in there with all the nominations across the board. It should be a lot of fun. One movie I didn't talk about, Avengers Endgame, my personal favorite movie of the year, really also kind of got snubbed. Not shocking, I don't think. I don't think anyone expected that to slip in for Best Picture or any of the major categories, but I thought it would show up more in the non-major categories and really only pops in for visual effects. I was shocked that sound editing and just film editing in general didn't pop in there anywhere, and instead, kind of shocking to me, and then, in some of the spots, like John Williams, makes a ton of sense. But Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker popped into a bunch of these categories. I was like, interesting that we're going that way instead of Endgame. The highest grossing film of all time has almost no representation at the Oscars. And like I said, I don't think it's totally shocking because we've had a really good year in film. But you thought that you would have seen it pop into more of the minor categories, just to be, for a reason, just to have that group there. You thought that you would have maybe seen something, but nothing for Endgame, really outside of visual effects, such as Marvel. One day, man, you guys are going to get there, and Mr. Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr., one of the best performances of the year. I don't care what anybody else says, but what we did get for the Oscar nominations, I think, are pretty in line with what we expected. So there you go, man. I talked a little bit more than I wanted to, but plenty of stuff to get into with the Oscar nominations. Now I want to know your thoughts, man. What did you think of the nominations this morning? Was anything surprising to you? Who were your underdogs that kind of snuck their way in while others got snubbed, and who were your snubs for this year at the Oscars? Let me know everything you're thinking about the Oscar nominations and what you think might be happening. You can give me your predictions now. I will be doing a prediction video later on as we get closer to the Oscars, but anything you're thinking surrounding the Oscars and their nominations for this year goes down below in the comment section. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're new, you want to come hang out with the old C-Man as we approach the Oscars, you want to see how I'm doing with my picks, well, one, you should follow me on Twitter at cinema_sitdown, and then you should for sure jump over there, man. Come join the Cinema Sit-Down squad. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that little bell that follows so you get alerts every time I make a new video. And until next time, man, for the C-Man Cinema Sit-Down, I'm the C-Man. I'm signing off. Peace! Well, you guys are still here. You must be looking for some more content. Well, don't worry. C-Man's got you covered, man. You got videos like this guy and this guy. And if you haven't yet, and you want to come check out all the C-Man goodies, join the Cinema Sit-Down squad, man. Hit that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit the little bell down below that, too, so you can get alerts every time I make new videos.